As the 2026 NFL Draft looms on the horizon, the Dallas Cowboys stand at a critical crossroads. With the potential for franchise-altering defensive talent available in the first round, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Dallas seize the opportunity to reshape its defense, or will they let it slip away? The Cowboys have some serious decisions to make, and the upcoming weeks will be pivotal. The first-round picks, number 12 and number 20 overall, are tantalizing assets. Fans have been buzzing about the possibility of packaging these picks to move up the draft board, potentially landing a game-changing defensive player. It's a strategy that could not only bolster the defensive line, but also inject new energy into a unit that has been inconsistent at best. However, the draft isn't the only avenue for roster changes. The Cowboys are also weighing the potential for trades that could shake things up even before the first round kicks off. The prospect of trading away players to clear space or to acquire additional picks could be on the table, especially if they identify talent that aligns with their vision for the future. One name that has come up in trade discussions is running back Jaydon Blue. The fifth-round pick from last year's draft has had a rocky start to his NFL career, and his future in Dallas is now under scrutiny. Inactive for 12 games last season, Blue's lack of playing time raises significant questions about his readiness to contribute. Whether it's due to a struggle with the playbook, maturity issues, or simply the depth chart being too crowded, it's clear that the coaching staff hasn't seen enough to instill confidence in him as a reliable option moving forward. On a recent segment on 105.3 The Fan, the conversation around Blue's trade value took center stage. Analysts pointed out that if the coaching staff doesn't find a way to cultivate his talents in the upcoming season, it might be in the Cowboys' best interest to trade him while he still holds some value. The depth at the running back position, especially with Malik Davis poised to take on a more significant role as the primary backup, makes Blue's future even more precarious. Looking at Blue's performance, his most notable outing came in Week 18 against the New York Giants, where he finally showed flashes of what he could bring to the table. 16 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. It was a glimpse of the talent that led the Cowboys to draft him, but questions linger. Can he improve his pass-blocking skills? Will he be able to hold onto the ball after the fumbling issues he faced in college? While it's likely that the Cowboys will give Blue another season to prove himself, the reality is that with the draft approaching, every player's future is up for grabs. The Cowboys need to remain flexible and strategic. The franchise has a history of making bold moves, and as they prepare for a crucial draft, it's essential to keep all options on the table. With the potential for roster changes and the draft looming large, the next few weeks will be full of intrigue for Cowboys fans. Will they trade up for that game-changing defensive player? Will they make tough decisions on players like Jaydon Blue? The answers to these questions could very well shape the Cowboys' immediate future and determine whether they can finally rise to the top of the NFC. Now, let's shift gears and discuss another critical aspect of the Cowboys' offseason strategy as they navigate this pivotal time. The Dallas Cowboys are on the brink of making a monumental decision in the upcoming 2026 NFL Draft, armed with not one, but 2 first-round picks. The stakes have never been higher, and the opportunity to secure transformative defensive talent is right in front of them. However, with great opportunity comes the great responsibility of choosing wisely. As the Cowboys hold the number 12 and number 20 picks, they're in a prime position to bolster a defense that has shown both promise and vulnerability in recent seasons. The wealth of talent available presents a golden chance, but there's a looming question mark hanging over their potential selections. One name that has recently surfaced is Tennessee cornerback German McCoy, a player who, if healthy, could be a game-changer. Unfortunately, that's a very big if. McCoy was projected as a first-round talent, but his entire 2025 season was lost to a torn ACL, igniting concerns that are now echoing within the Cowboys front office. Brian Broaddus of 105.3 The Fan reports that insiders are increasingly skeptical about McCoy's knee, which has sparked serious debate about whether drafting him would be a gamble worth taking. Broaddus stated, after talking to people in the organization, they're saying the knee is a real concern there. So yeah, I don't see them taking McCoy if he was there. This is a critical moment for the Cowboys. McCoy possesses undeniable physical gifts. He clocked an impressive 4.37 in the 40-yard dash during Tennessee's Pro Day and showcased his playmaking ability with 4 interceptions in the previous season. A native of White House, Texas, McCoy would not only fill a need, but also return to his roots, creating an emotional narrative that could resonate well with the fans. Yet, the shadow of his injury can't be ignored. The Cowboys are no strangers to the challenges that come with drafting an injured player. Last offseason, they endured the uncertainty surrounding then-rookie cornerback Shavon Revel Jr., who was also coming off a torn ACL. Revel Jr. eventually made a successful debut, emerging as a starter by mid-season, but attempting to replicate that success with McCoy could prove risky. The last thing the Cowboys need is to invest a first-round pick in another player who might not be ready to contribute immediately. It's essential to weigh the potential upside against the inherent risks. The Cowboys must look into their proverbial crystal ball and assess whether they can envision a future where McCoy is healthy and impactful. But the reality remains that the uncertainty surrounding his health could lead to a wasted first-round pick, a risk that is simply too high for a franchise that has aspirations of contending for championships. As the draft approaches, the Cowboys find themselves at a crossroads, balancing the allure of McCoy's talent with the pressing need for certainty and reliability in their defensive roster. The pressure is on the front office to make the right call, and the voices of the fans will undoubtedly echo through the halls of AT&T Stadium as they watch this story unfold. Now, as we shift our focus to the next critical aspect of the Cowboys' draft strategy, it's important to consider how they can navigate these choices to build a formidable team for the upcoming season. We're diving deep into the strategic decisions that could shape the Dallas Cowboys defense in the upcoming season. With the recent addition of Christian Parker as the new defensive coordinator, there's a palpable sense of anticipation surrounding how this seasoned coach will mold the team's secondary. Parker's pedigree speaks volumes. Having honed his craft under Vic Fangio with the Philadelphia Eagles, where he served as both pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach, he brings a wealth of knowledge to the Cowboys. His previous stint with Fangio at the Denver Broncos further solidifies his credentials. This is a man who understands the nuances of defensive play, particularly in the secondary, where the Cowboys have been active during free agency. The signings of safeties Jalen Thompson and P.J. Locke, along with cornerbacks Colby Durant and Darian Kendrick, reflect Parker's influence and vision for a fortified defense. However, while these additions are promising, there's still a glaring hole in the defense that demands attention. NFL insider Albert Breer has thrown a potential lifeline into the conversation, suggesting that the Cowboys should consider making a move for Indianapolis Colts cornerback Kenny Moore, who is reportedly on the trading block. Moore could be the critical piece that Dallas needs, especially in the nickel position, which has become a focal point under Parker's scheme. Breer astutely notes that with Jordan Lewis's departure to the Jaguars, the Cowboys are left with a void that needs to be filled, and Moore could do just that. Jerry Jones himself has acknowledged a miscalculation in undervaluing the slot position, a reality that could haunt the Cowboys if they don't act decisively. Parker's understanding of the importance of a nickel corner is crucial. Every successful defense relies on having a reliable player who can adapt to various offensive schemes. The Cowboys have already scouted multiple prospects who could step into this role, but there's a significant risk involved in relying solely on a rookie to fill such an essential position. Let's not overlook the financial implications. At 31 years old, Moore is set to have a cap hit of $13.11 million in 2026, which isn't exactly chump change. Yet, if the Cowboys fail to secure a suitable nickel through the draft, bringing in Moore for a year could provide immediate relief. The Cowboys have a history of pivoting quickly to veteran players when their draft plans don't pan out. Just 2 seasons ago, they brought in Ezekiel Elliott after the draft left them without a running back, a move that ultimately fell short. But they also struck gold the following year with George Pickens, scoring him after a lackluster draft performance regarding wide receivers. Moore may not carry the same star potential as Pickens, but he could certainly shore up a secondary that has shown vulnerability in recent seasons. As we look ahead, the Cowboys are at a crossroads. The decisions they make now could define their defensive strategy for years to come. The addition of Parker is a step in the right direction, but the front office must be proactive. If they believe Moore is the answer, they must act decisively, especially if it only costs them a late-round pick, as Breer suggests. The stakes are high, and the time to act is now. As we wrap up this discussion on the Dallas Cowboys' evolving defense, it's clear that the decisions being made in the coming days will be pivotal. Fans, stay tuned and engaged as these developments unfold. Your insights and opinions matter, so be sure to share them in the comments. And if you want to keep up with all the latest news and rumors surrounding our beloved Cowboys, don't forget to subscribe for daily updates. The future is bright, and the excitement is just beginning.